If you have ovaries and you experience sensory overwhelm or have trouble managing your pain during your menstrual cycle, you are in the right place, my friend, because today we are talking about how to manage your menstrual cycle as someone on the spectrum. I know this topic might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but don't worry, today I am doing all the talking and I'm going to be sharing 9 of my favorite hacks for managing your period. Because let's be honest, having a period as someone on the spectrum has plenty of unique challenges and frustrations. Let's get started. New to the channel, I'm Taylor. I was diagnosed with autism at age 31. Since then, I've become an autism advocate for autism acceptance, and I also work to further our collective understanding of what it means to actually be autistic, especially as a female on the spectrum, because it's much different than many people think that it is. In this video today, I'm going to be sharing the 3 major challenges of having a period as someone on the spectrum, and then I'll share my 9 favorite quick hacks to help you manage your menstrual cycle. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to be sharing my #1 favorite supplement for managing PMS symptoms, and you can buy it today on Amazon. They're not a sponsor. I'm not being paid to recommend them. It's just legitimately my favorite supplement for stress, anxiety, and all things PMS. Quick reminder, I'm not a doctor, so anytime we talk about something health related on this channel, I always like to remind you, please check with your healthcare providers before you make any changes to your health or healthcare routine. Super important. Okay, so let's jump right in. The first major challenge associated with having a period as someone on the spectrum is the sensory challenges, right? It is a completely overwhelming sensory experience. There's all types of senses involved. There's different smells that we have to take in that might be unpleasant. And as far as our sense of touch, there's so much sensory overwhelm in terms of what it means to change our sanitary products, to deal with any associated mess. It can be overwhelming to see blood, right? It just comes out of our body and it's like we have to deal with it. We don't have a choice. It's extremely overwhelming and it happens every single month, or maybe for some of us it happens more often or less often, but it happens somewhat regularly and we have to deal with it and we don't have a choice. So that can add a lot of sensory overwhelm, not just when it happens, but the expectation of it actually happening. I know one thing for me that has been upsetting, I really like trying to make decisions that help the environment. I've gone back and forth on whether or not to use paper sanitary products. So I've tried menstrual cups, I've tried menstrual discs, and if you haven't tried one before, I'm actually going to show you what it is. This is a menstrual disc, and it inserts into your vagina and sits at the top of it, and it collects everything in here, and you just empty it out a couple of times a day. I've tried this. I've tried several different versions of this in menstrual cups. I'm gonna be honest with you, I absolutely hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. To me, it adds more mess and more unpleasantness, and I've tried to do it for the environment and I can't. If that's your thing, it might be better to you to not see it. You see less of what's actually happening because you interact with it less and you don't have to wear anything other than that. So that might be an option for somebody, but I feel that it adds extra sensory overwhelm. Something that I've thought that might be helpful for those of us who struggle with maybe some of the smells associated with this time. Here in America, I don't know if it's available other places, but there's something called poopery. It's a very silly word, but it's a spray that you can put in the toilet and it makes everything smell better. Like it's made with essential oils, and so it's a pretty strong smell and it comes in all different scents. It has a really great way of masking other odors in the bathroom. It's available in travel size, pretty discreet, so you could keep it in your purse whenever you need to. That might be an option to help you with that aspect of the sensory overwhelm. The second major challenge associated with having a period is the pain, right? Unfortunately, many of us struggle with increased pain. Listen to this statistic. This is from a medical journal that I'm going to share a link to in the description. There is a marked increase in premenstrual syndrome in women with autism compared with matched controls. Listen to this. 92% of autistic women showed symptoms of PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, usually way more painful than PMS. It's like elevated PMS. Well, that's what it says here, the severe form of PMS. The occurrence of PMDD in the control group was only 11%. So 92% of autistic women in this study showed signs of PMDD, the extreme form of PMS, whereas the control group of people who are allistic or not autistic was 11% of them showed symptoms. So we are prone to more severe pain when we have our period than other people, and that sucks. There's a Japanese study that I'm also going to include in the description that lends some information as to why this might happen. Their finding was that it might have to do with differences in the autonomic nervous system. I'm always worried I'm saying that incorrectly. And I think that makes sense because as someone on the spectrum, we're dealing with a lot more stressors and heightened sensitivities. And so our nervous system is on high alert, I feel, much more often than autistic people. And so our nervous system, which helps regulate our body, is working harder, working longer, has a hard time recovering. Our parasympathetic nervous system has a harder time kicking in to help us calm down. I think all those things can contribute to why we might experience more pain when we're on our periods. And then the third major challenge of having a period as someone on the spectrum is the elevated stress and anxiety. Ugh. And this is frustrating for me because I feel like as I'm getting older, the stress and anxiety and pain and all of the PMS symptoms are increasing. Like as I get older, it feels like they're getting worse, which really sucks. There's evidence to suggest that ADD or ADHD symptoms also increase around that time of the month. If you're autistic and also have ADHD like me, you're going to be experiencing more symptoms. Your sensitivity is going to be heightened, your anxiety is going to be heightened, and it just leads to a whole mess of inconveniences that we didn't want to deal with in the first place. It's a huge change to our routine, which can be very upsetting and elevate that stress, especially, thinking back to when I was younger and first started getting my period. How intrusive and invasive is that? Like, this is my body and I don't have a choice over whether or not this happens, right? It's very frustrating. And especially as a younger person, it can be very upsetting to have to deal with this. So I think acknowledging this change in routine and how upsetting that can be for someone on the spectrum is very important because we thrive on routine and structure and also control over our bodies, right? So not having that control can really put us in a tailspin. And all of this together kind of results in more difficulty regulating our emotions and our behavior, which is an issue for us in the first place without PMS. Thanks a lot, PMS. And now my top 9, I can't do 9 with the putty in my hand, so now my top 9 hacks for dealing with these frustrating symptoms. Number 1, a great thing to do is meet with your doctor. So if you do have regular pain and frustration with your menstrual cycle, check in with your doctor first and make sure everything's okay. Make sure all your equipment is good. Make sure that everything's functioning as it should be, if you know what I'm saying. Like, make sure there's no major issues that are keeping you from experiencing less pain. Your doctor will also be able to talk with you about options that you have for your period. So I don't necessarily recommend this. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a negative thing, but if your sensory issues are such that you cannot handle having a period, there is birth control that you can take that makes it to where you completely skip your period and you don't have one. You could talk to your doctor about something like that. I do want to raise the idea that if you take something like that, you may have more mood issues and more difficulty regulating emotions because you're adding hormones to your body that weren't there before. But that might be worth it to you to get rid of the period. So that's definitely something that you could talk with your doctor about. There's also implants that your doctor can place inside of you that last for a long time and don't have to be replaced for a while that can help regulate the hormones associated with your period. They could also prescribe you some medication for pain management if that's a route that you want to take. Second hack is plan and medicate in advance. So I use an app called Cycles and it helps me know when to anticipate my period every single month. So whenever you have your period, you just tap a little button and you log that it happened, and then you log when you're done with your period. And you can even set up alerts for it to tell you, like, I'll have an alert pop up on my phone that says, how do they phrase it? Get ready, PMS phase is about to begin. And it'll come totally out of the blue where I'm like, oh gosh. Okay, that explains so much. So it's a great app. There's a free version of it that I use. There's a more in-depth paid version where you can monitor more things like body temperature, etc. So having something like an app or just keeping track of it on your calendar can help you prepare mentally for the change in routine. I feel like many of us watching are going to know exactly when our period is because we're so methodical and routine based. So you might know exactly when your period is. If you know what day it's going to start, you might want to take some anti-inflammatories that morning so that it can kind of work before the cramps even start happening. So if you can keep tabs on when to expect your period, that can reduce some of the stress and anxiety associated with surprise. Now you have to deal with this. Number 3, use whichever sanitary products work best for you. Like I mentioned earlier, the menstrual cups are very frustrating to me. I feel like I've tried so many of them because I'm like, I'm going to protect the environment, and I just hate it. So I protect the environment in other ways, and I use paper products. This is my favorite one that I use here in America. I get it at Target. I guess the brand is called Elle. And I really like this company. This is a way of taking care of the earth and the world. For every product of theirs that you purchase, they donate one to someone around the world who needs sanitary products. It's also a very sustainable organization. They're very conscious about the materials they use, recycling, and they have all different sizes available. This is not an ad. I'm not being paid to promote them. This is just the brand that I like. So it might be a journey for you to find which product works for you. There's also underwear that you can buy, and you don't have to put anything in the underwear. It just has an absorbent strip at the bottom of it, and as far as I know, you just wash them and you can reuse them. Now that to me is another sensory experience, because that's why I like paper products. Just use it and throw it out and don't have to deal with it anymore. But if you like the idea of not having to deal with something extra, you could find some, I think they're called period panties, and wear those and not have to deal with the extra products on top of that. So find your own product that works for you. It might be a journey, and that might change over time. Number 4, if possible, change your routine to accommodate your needs. Acknowledge that you have some additional sensory issues, that you're not going to handle your period like your neighbor or a coworker, whatever that might mean. You might need to take a mental health day. You might need to focus on the tasks that require less attention, routine-based things that you can do without much thought or input, and save more extensive tasks for when you are in a better headspace. Number 5, exercise regularly. This doesn't have to be like hardcore, You don't have to like sweat and get into the whole mess of it. You can just go for a walk every day. But if you're regularly moving your body, it has been shown that that can reduce the intensity of pain of your cramps. So experiment with that. Find your own version of daily exercise, and especially focus on that the week leading up to your period to see if that can alleviate some of your cramps. Number 6, kind of along with that, is hydrate. Hydration is so essential for health overall, and also for period health. So if you're not getting enough water and your body's dehydrated, your cramps are going to be worse. In fact, that's one reason that muscles cramp anyway, is that you're dehydrated and you don't have enough water. So aim to drink half of your body weight in ounces of water. And if you don't live in America and don't use ounces, I don't know what that translates to in your form of measurement. But half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you try to drink 100 ounces of water that day. Number 7, comfort yourself. You are your own best caregiver. Sometimes we definitely need outside help, but start with yourself. What can you do to take care of yourself? Is that a hot bath? Is that a heating pad? Is that binging Christmas movies and eating popcorn? Whatever you can do to take care of yourself, empower yourself to do that. Whatever that looks like, it can be totally different and random for you compared to somebody else. You don't have to make sense of it, just take care of yourself. Number 8, share your experiences. So whenever you feel these frustrations and have to continually deal with these issues, it can be really upsetting to just keep it all in and not be able to talk about it with anybody. Share your experiences. I have a great place where you can do that. I partner with a channel on Discord called AS Direct, and they have a specific channel called, I don't know how to say this because I'm not a comic book person, I'm sorry, Themyscira? I think that's the island where Wonder Woman is from. Do I get points for that? There's a channel on there specifically for people with ovaries, and you can join for free today and hop on there and you can talk about all things ovaries. So if you need a place to talk about it, that would be a great idea. Number 9, use it as an opportunity to connect to your body. This might sound frustrating because we're like, no, I just want to do away with it and have nothing to do with my period because it sucks and I hate it. I was at this yoga class one time and they invited us to, I can't remember what the group was called. I think it was like Women of the Moon or something. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I love yoga and I love all things woo. It had some really cool names. And they would get together every month and like celebrate being a woman and celebrate having cycles and having a period and using that to connect us to the earth and to connect us to our bodies and help us become more at one with ourselves. There's also a lot of talk about this in like the mindfulness and meditation arenas. If you can become at peace with the pain that is in your body, you can kind of become one with it and use it to your advantage. Now that's definitely a practice, meaning it's something that you practice over time, and it doesn't necessarily become easy. It just becomes more understandable in terms of how to follow that practice and what it means for you and your life. But if that interests you at all, you might be cursing me right now and be like, no, I'm not going to become one with this pain. I hate it. But if you're interested in making peace with it and trying to use it to connect to yourself and connect to the earth and remember how we're a part of this beautiful mystery called life. I know it sounds cheesy, but I'm cheesy sometimes. This would be a great opportunity and reminder to do that every month or whenever you have your period. As promised, thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. My all-time favorite supplement to take for help managing PMS symptoms. And it's called Formula 303. And I'll put a link to this in the description. It smells like butt. It smells terrible, and I have to warn you because I know many of us are really overwhelmed by smells. You're gonna have to just cover your nose whenever you take this. It is a blend of valerian root, passiflora, which is passion flower, and magnesium. So that's all that's in it. It smells like butt. Honestly, it does. It is a natural relaxant, and it's natural relief for muscle spasms, tension, and stress. So some days when I'm stressed out, red every day. Sometimes I like to take that to help with stress management as well. So you might want to look into that on Amazon. Again, don't make any health decisions without talking to your healthcare provider. If I could ask you one thing, if you got something out of this video, could you please like it and possibly subscribe if you have not already subscribed? That helps my videos reach more people like you and me who are looking for weird content like this and can't find it anywhere and feel alone. Also, if you feel compelled to further your support, please consider a donation to my PayPal account. My account is paypal.me/momonthespectrum. There are many of you who have already contributed to that, and you have no idea how much that helps me out and keeps me going and allows me to keep creating content for y'all. It makes a huge difference for me and my family. This video was a suggestion of one of my subscribers, so thank you for that suggestion. I'll keep your username private just since this is a more sensitive topic, but if you do have suggestions for future videos, I'd always love to hear them. As a reminder, you're not alone. You are beautiful just as you are, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.